All right. Hello, and welcome to the technical demonstration for the Gmail API integration for the Dispatcher Phoenix document processing desktop application. We're going to take you through how Dispatcher Phoenix interacts with the Gmail API and what it uses, the scopes that it is granted for. The Dispatcher Phoenix desktop application is a document processing application where a user can configure document processing workflows to process documents. They can be set up to collect documents from designated folders on disk, from FTP servers, from email inboxes, and things like that. The workflows can then process the documents by doing things such as adding a watermark, running the documents through an OCR engine to extract or redact data in the document, split up documents by pages, or route them to various locations depending on metadata extracted about the document. The workflow can then distribute the document through a number of channels, including saving them to a folder on disk, sending them as a fax, uploading them to a cloud drive storage location, such as SharePoint, Dropbox, or Google Drive, or sending them as an email. So we're going to get started talking about what new functionality has been added through the Gmail integration and how we use the various permissions that we request from the user. So the first step in this process is to add the user's account to our storage system. So alongside the Dispatcher Phoenix desktop application, we also install the Dispatcher Phoenix web service utility, which comes with a multitude of different ways to manage settings associated with the desktop application and things like that, including adding and managing OAuth accounts. So under the accounts tab, we have the ability to add a multitude of different OAuth account types. We're going to go through Google Mail right now. When I click this, I am sent into the Google OAuth cycle. So I can select my work Gmail account, which I'm already logged in as, and then take into the OAuth consent screen where we warn the user that we're going to require their permission to read, compose, send, and delete email from their Gmail. I will get into what we use those permissions for in just a second, but for now I'm going to allow it. And then we save the user's account to the local database to the Dispatcher Phoenix desktop instance. We've saved their name that we got from their profile, their Gmail profile, their username they used to sign in with, their access and refresh tokens, the expiration date of the access token, and the URLs that we're going to need to automatically refresh the access token when it expires. So here it is, saved to our database. We're going to go ahead and configure a workflow to use the email in node. That is, we're going to monitor my inbox for new emails and use that to process documents. I have over here in my email account this test label with 3 emails in it. All of them have one of these hastily done paint scribble documents in it. We're going to see how we can process those. So this is the Dispatcher Phoenix desktop application. I'm going to go ahead and create a new workflow. We're going to collect from the email in node. I'm going to send it through a process node known as metadata to file. I'll get into what that's going to do in just a second when I go to configure it. So we're going to set these up to go through. Configure the output folder node to dump its files, save its files to an output folder. I'm going to configure the metadata to file node to extract the metadata associated with a document that we process from the metadata generated by the email in node, which is going to show you what sort of data we get about an email beyond its contents. It'll dump that into an XML file, and we're also going to get the original file from there. Now, the email in node is able to support a few different connection types. The one that we're interested in is Google Mail. This is going to make a request to our system to retrieve the saved Google Mail accounts. We're going to go ahead and log in with that. And what that's going to do is retrieve all of my, we call them folders, but Google calls them labels. It's going to retrieve all of my labels associated with this account. I'm going to go down here and select this test folder. This is the one that I want to monitor and retrieve emails from. I'm able to set up filters if I want to only process emails from somebody, or only emails that actually have attachments, or only emails where the attachment size is smaller than 1 megabyte, what have you. After I set up these filters, I can click this test filters button. This is going to start using some of the read scopes. So now I'm downloading the emails in that match this filter, that are in the test folder, and see what they look like. I can read their whole body. I can see if there's a CC set of addresses, or if I'm on the BCC list, whatever we like. So that's the read scopes that we're going to use. And obviously later we're going to use a read scope to retrieve the email itself. But this node also supports several post-processing operations. They're down here under the advanced settings tab in this after collection section. So after this workflow has accessed an email, downloaded it, and processed the document, we can set it up to delete the email from the server, that is from Gmail. We can also set it to mark them as read and or move them to a different folder. I'm going to go ahead and leave this as mark as read. You can see in my inbox, these are all still unread. So we'll demonstrate that later. And then here's all of the metadata that the node is also going to extract. So workflow's all set up. Save that and run it. And what it's going to do, it's going to monitor, when I start the workflow, it's going to start up the email in service, which is going to monitor my inbox, check for new emails in the folder that I designated. If it finds any, it will download them and send them through this workflow. So we're going to go ahead and run that. You should see a little, and there it goes, little animation going through of the documents. Once it's done, you can see that we now have 6 files here, one for each file that we downloaded, and then one for each of the sets of metadata associated with that. So let's go take a look at those. Here's my output folder with my 3 scribbles in it. And we're going to go ahead and open up one of those metadata documents and show you, okay, I already had it open. I'm going to show you the metadata that we've pulled from this email. So we have the attachments and their sizes. There's only one. We have the body of the email, the CC and BCC list. We have all of the headers that Google generates on its emails. We have the host, we have the subject, and what have you. So this is data that is made available inside the Dispatcher Phoenix workflow. We can set up something to route the email depending on what one of these values is. Use one of these in the output folder name. They get generated as the workflow runs. So yeah, that is the email in node. And oh, if we go back to my inbox, you can see that they've all been marked as read. So that post-processing fired off beautifully as well. So the next one we're going to do, the last one for the demo, is demonstrate the email out node. So we're going to pop an input folder node because we're going to collect things from a folder on my disk, and an email out node. Go ahead and connect them. So my input directory, we'll set it to input. And if we go and look at what's actually in that folder, you can see that it just has 4 more scribble documents, same things. So what this is going to do after we configure it, it's going to send an email to designated user with those attachments. Like the email in, the email out node supports a couple different connection types. We're interested in Google Mail. So we have our account here that we saved as before. It's going to send the email from us. We're going to head over here to get my work Outlook email address. We're going to send it to myself there. I'm going to say, here's your file with some exclamation points and a happy face. And then we're going to go ahead and demonstrate some of the metadata that we get. We're going to put the full name of the file in the subject line. This will be evaluated when the document passes through and be replaced with the full name of the file being processed. Go. So obviously the scope that we require for this is really just create and send draft. So here we are, we're going to fire this off. And this one will take a moment. The input folder will collect the 4 files, send them to email out. Email out will send out 4 emails. Wait for it to be done. There we go. We'll go ahead and stop that. If we head over to my Gmail account and look in my sent folder, there they are, my 4 sent files right on time. If I go over and look at my Outlook account, they're in other. There we go. My 4 script files with my little happy face, and you can see the subject line is the name of the file. And that is the extent to which we use the Gmail API. We demonstrated how email in does do some write operations. It can delete files or delete emails from the server after they're processed. It can mark them as read and it can send them to other folders. And then obviously the email out composes drafts, uploads attachments, and sends emails. That's about it. Thank you very much for your time.